Hey Flower Tribe, it's Kelly Lehman from Cranbury Fields Flower Farm, and today I want to give you some more hydrangea propagating tips. So a lot of our Flower Tribe members have sent in their own tips and hacks on how to propagate hydrangeas. So I'm kind of new to this whole propagation game. I'm trying to figure out the best practices. And so last week I showed you how to do some hydrangea propagating from cuttings. And I have to say we got a load of really great tips that came in. So I want to start off with B. DeMille. Let me see if I can show you kind of like her comment here. So I'll read it to you. She said, I've propagated quite a few that are still attached to the mother plant, but I have done a cutting with the very green tip of the stem versus the thicker ones. And so she says she just a fresh tip, and it rooted in no time. So I think this is what B's talking about. So when you go out to your hydrangea plant, you basically have the choice of like which stems that you're going to cut. So I keep reading over and over again that it's a good idea to find a hydrangea stem that hasn't bloomed yet, like it doesn't have a flower on it. So I went out to my garden and I picked one that looked like this. And B's tip was to get one that was fresh and green. So let me come a little closer to the camera here. Fresh and green, has kind of like that bend, and it has no flower on the top. Now the difference between this, fresh green stem up here and some of my other hydrangeas, if you take a look at this stem, even though it's green, it's very, very stiff. It almost looks like so it's getting to be like that woody form. So you don't want to have the ones that are super, super stiff. You want those fresh green ones. And then basically we're going to do the same tips that I showed you last week. And I have a whole playlist of my hydrangea propagating tips that's linked in descriptions below. And so what we did was this. We just took the little cutting from here. I went under a fresh set of leaves. So this is a fresh set of leaves. I went right beneath it, and now I've got a cut here. I'm going to snip off this green leaf, and I'm going to snip off this green leaf. So there is a lot of, like rooting cells here that kind of help the roots get started. There's like a whole power cluster of cells that really want to work on those roots. So we're going to concentrate on this, and what I'm going to do is dip it in some rooting powder. I'm actually going to dip it in some water first. Oop. Got all my little pigeon magoos here. So I'm going to dip it in a little bit of water first, my fancy water cup. And then I'm going to dip it in a little bit of rooting powder. And some people like to use cinnamon or honey. That was some of the tips from the Flower Tribe. But I have to say, I've read online that rooting powder seems to work faster. But once again, you have to, I guess, be careful what you read online sometimes. So I'm trying them all. I'm trying some with a little bit of cinnamon. I'm using some with honey. And it's the same method. You just kind of dip it right at the edge of the plant. And so I'm going to put this in a little bit of vermiculite. So last week, we were planting in potting soil that didn't have fertilizer because these new rootings do not like fertilizer. You don't want to encourage bloom growth just yet. You want to encourage those roots to grow. So I'm putting this in. I have some vermiculite that I had poured some water into, and I'm just going to dunk it in here, cover it with a little bit of soil, and that's it. Easy squeezy. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is just remove a little bit of these leaves like this. Because I don't need to have all that green leaf on there, because it's going to help the plant to root faster if I snip the leaves a little bit. So that was a really great tip. So thank you for that one, B. I appreciate that. And then I had a really great tip from a few people. So let me see who sent in these guys. Oops. So Miss Cheeky, I love this. Miss Cheeky 72. She said, "I love your channel. I'm from Sydney, Australia, and your container that you use with a non-transparent lid." She said, "Why don't you put the container upside down?" So what Miss Cheeky 72 is talking about is we talked about setting up your own greenhouse last week by using a plastic container, and I said that my problem point was that I had a plastic container, and I only had one that had a white lid. And I wanted to set it up as a greenhouse to put these cuttings in, but I knew that the sun was going to beat down, and this was kind of going to block the rays of it. And so I said, maybe just put like a plastic bag over the top and then that would trap in the moisture, and that would create a greenhouse effect. Well, Miss Cheeky and also Super Woody Boy, I think it's Super Woody Boy, yeah, Super Woody Boy also suggested that instead of having the container facing up, they said, why don't you just flip the container over, kind of like a reverse engineering trick, and that's what I did. And that was a really, really great idea. Would have never thought of that on my own. So let me show you. Let me readjust my camera here. So here's the container. I'm going to put in the little cutting there. I thought I had another cutting. Oh, I do have another cutting. This cutting here. And then I'm just going to flip over the container. Boom. I mean, how great is that? So now I've got like an actual mini greenhouse. I'm going to keep this out of direct sunlight. I want to make sure that these plants stay nice and moist. And I need to water that one in that I just put in here because it's really important that you keep your hydrangea cuttings moist as they're trying to take root. You want to make sure you don't flood them. So let me just remove this. But that was such a great tip from both of you. Thank you for sending those in. And I want to tell you also, it's really important, guys, that when you're using your planting mediums, just my camera again. When you're using your planting mediums, you want to make sure that you don't have like thick soil from your garden because those roots are really delicate and they need to kind of stretch out and spread out. So I just used a little bit of vermiculite and I added water to it first. So the vermiculite that you saw in here had a whole bunch of water added to it already, so it was nice and moist. But I'm going to give this cutting just another little shot of water because that's probably one of the most important things to do, to keep it moist but yet not soaked. And it's a really good idea to cut little holes in the bottom of your cup. So I have two little cuts that I did here. I just used a scissor. I just cut a little hole on the side, and I cut a little hole on this side. And then this way, the water is going to wind up coming through here, and that root and that stem is not going to sit in water because if it did, it's going to wind up rotting before it ever gets a root. And so this is what it looks like if you don't cut it. So you can see there's a whole bunch of water puddling on the bottom. This is all water down here, and you don't want that. Okay, let's see who else is here. Oh, this was also from last week, and I think some people like this trick a lot. This is like just a little mini greenhouse. So if you take like a soda bottle and you don't want to deal with the whole bin, you can just put this over your, let me see if I can readjust this camera again. You just kind of put it over your cutting. And now you have your own mini greenhouse. And once again, I'm going to keep this out of direct sunlight because I don't want to burn the plant. I'm going to put it in a place that has kind of like some dappled sunlight. And then after about 2 or 3 weeks, this gal's going to have some roots. And then I'm either going to transplant it to like a larger pot, or I might just, see if I could. I think I'm actually going to transplant it to a larger pot because I don't want to put it in the ground just yet. I want to wait till those roots are a little bit more babied. And so what else did I want to show you guys today? Lots of tips came in from the Flower Tribe. So here's a super tip for when you do have your hydrangeas and they're all propagated and they're growing and they're looking beautiful. I always cut my Annabelle hydrangea in this stage. And this is kind of like a semi-dried out stage. I'm going to show you a close-up here. So this hydrangea is almost like papery-like. It feels almost like paper. And I'm going to have a longer vase life because of that fact. If I were to cut this Annabelle hydrangea in that white stage, they usually flop in the vase super easy. So once these gals are in water and you keep them away from like direct sunlight, you keep them away from windows, then they're going to wind up drying out as a dried flower arrangement and they're going to look beautiful year round. But I have to say, sometimes they do wind up losing a little bit of color. And so what you could do is use some spray paint. So we have florists here. So we have a lot of florists like Gidgemagoos. So I'm going to hold this guy up over here. And it's just florist spray paint that's for flowers. It's not regular spray paint. And you just give it a little shot. I mean, how fun is that? And it comes in all different colors. It comes in like purples and blues and pinks. So you can actually spray florist spray paint on fresh flowers or dried flowers. I'm going to give this hydrangea a little shot of blue. And it just kind of brightens up the color. I mean, once you start playing with these, it's crazy. You have to get like all these different colors and then you start doing little combinations and you start going bananas. But it's really fun to do that. It doesn't harm the flower. And if you can get them at like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and if you don't feel like making the trip there, I always have a link to my Amazon shop where I have all these fun little gidgemagoos if you guys want to just buy them direct from Amazon because it's easier. So I have these in my tools like playlist. All right, so that's the story with the spray paint. That's so fun. Other propagating, some people are saying that they are getting results when they just put their hydrangea cuttings in water. So it's hard for me. I've never grown roots from a plant that, just is just sitting in the water without the rooting hormone and without kind of babying it. But other people that are showing me pictures of what their roots look like. So guys, if you have any great propagating tips or pictures that you can show us, please hop on over to my Kelly Lehman's Flower Tribe Facebook group, because there's gardeners from all over the world and they're posting all sorts of pictures and tips and hacks over there. So I would love, love, love to see your propagating tips, because I'm really trying to figure this mystery out. So I think if I was going to go ahead and try to do more of these cuttings where you just put it in water, I think what I would do is strip away more of these bottom leaves. So I'm going to strip away these bottom leaves. And I'm going to cut some of these top leaves. I'm actually going to cut this guy here. This guy. And I'm actually going to cut this guy right here. And I'm actually going to cut some more of these leaves here. Once again, this is a fresh tip, nice and, like bendy. It's not stiff. And I'm going to put it in water, and I'm going to keep it out of direct sunlight, but it still needs to get some sunlight. And I'm going to see what happens. So let's see, that's the story with that. Do you guys have any questions that I can kind of jump in and answer real quick? I'm sorry, it's going to be a quick one today, a quick live, but let me just see if I can grab some of your questions real quick. I'm going to walk up here because I have like this light in my eye over here. Let's see. Eek. This is easier than others that you've seen. Thank you, guys. Hey, guys, let me know where you're viewing this from, and let me know just like the general area, like what state you're in or which country that you're in, because we're compiling a list of where all the Flower Tribe is all over the world. And it's really fun to see you guys are popping up in like Australia and England, and you're in New Jersey, and you're in Washington. So let me know in comments where you're from, and if you're enjoying this video, give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. And one last power tip that I want to give you guys. I know a lot of you have fruit, in your kitchen, and sometimes you'll put like fruit near your fresh cut flowers. So a super quick power tip is to be careful that you don't have the fruit bowls next to your fresh cut flowers, because the fruit gives off a gas called ethylene. And ethylene is like, I guess it's like the ripening hormone. So once your flowers get a whiff of that ethylene, and they have ethylene absorbers like built in, they're going to start to ripen quicker. They're going to start to just mature faster. They're going to age faster. So if you can keep all of your fruit away from your fresh cut flowers, it's going to be a good idea, because it's going to wind up, hopefully like adding some extra days of vase life to your fruit. Otherwise, it's going to sap it and make it age faster. And this is kind of the reason why a lot of people will put like tomatoes and peaches and fruit in a brown paper bag to help it to ripen faster, because all that ethylene gets kind of absorbed in the bag. It gets trapped in there. And then that aging, maturing, ripening hormone is surrounded, the tomatoes surrounded by it, and the peaches are surrounded by it. And then it will ripen even faster. And bananas give off a lot of this gas. So if you ever need like one of your fruits or your vegetables to ripen super fast, just chuck a banana in the bag, and that will give off even more of that, like ripening hormone, and you will have riper tomatoes and peaches faster. So I think those were all the tips I wanted to give you today. Oh, last tip real quick. I wanted to show you, some of you have asked me what I use to clean my gardening tools. So I used to use Clorox bleach. I would kind of like dilute it with a little bit of water. And I found that, first of all, I was getting like bleach all over my body, all over my clothes, and I was getting it like all over the house because I'm just super messy. But I decided to use isopropyl alcohol instead. And what I like about this is that I just put like a little bit on a paper towel, and you can get this, Target, Walmart. I think this is like a Walgreens brand. You can get it at your supermarket. And I just wipe it. I just like wipe my tools with it because it's really important that you keep your tools super clean because there's a lot of bacteria on them after you're done cutting in the garden. And if you have like a fungus or like some sort of bacteria from one plant, you can spread that to the rest of your flowers and the rest of your plants. So always make sure you kind of clean it real quick. And another good part about using the isopropyl alcohol is that it dries really fast. So it doesn't usually wind up getting stuck on the stem. I know sometimes when I would use bleach or even vinegar, some people like to clean their tools with vinegar. Sometimes it doesn't dry quick enough. And when you go in to cut a plant, if you get vinegar on a stem or if you get bleach on a stem, your plant is not going to be happy. But somehow this isopropyl alcohol works really great for that. And so that's my tip. I think Beverly Schruppel had asked me that question. So thank you so much, guys. Keep those questions coming. I love it. And I love that on our Flower Tribe page, a lot of you are tackling those questions. So continue to answer each other. I love that. It's absolutely amazing. And really exciting news. Oh my gosh. I have a 3-guide online course coming out, hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm shooting for August 5th, but I don't know. It's like just a lot to like finish over the finish line. And there are 3 guides. One guide's going to show you how to grow beautiful perennial flowers to make a cutting garden in your own backyard. The second guide is going to show you how to grow beautiful annual flowers to have a cutting garden in your own backyard. And then the third guide is going to be how to get these beautiful flowers into gorgeous arrangements. And I'm going to show you some super florist power tips. And I love the idea that all the tips that I give you guys in these guides are super easy. And I kind of cut through all the fluff of, experimenting with all sorts of different flowers. I just chose the best of the best flowers that I've been growing on my flower farm for the last 10 years. I chose the easiest flowers that I grow, and I chose the flowers that give, I felt like the most amount of beauty, the most bang for your buck without too much work and too much effort. So if you're interested in finding out about that course, I made a free PDF file for you, and it's called 4 Must-Have Flowers for Your Garden. That's in descriptions below. So if you grab that PDF file, like I just wanted to give you guys even more value. If you grab that PDF file, once you put in your email to download that, you're automatically going to be on like my email list. And then that's going to give you information about, if you wanted to buy the course or if you wanted to gift the course for friends. And it's pretty cheap. I mean, each guide is $9.99. And then if you did like the bundle, you can buy like all 3 guides. I think it's like $24 was like a discount. And we're going to be giving discounts also to people that buy it before it actually launches. You can do like a pre-buy. And I'm going to have that link available pretty soon. We're working really hard on the back end here. So bear with me, but I'm really excited about this course. I think you guys are going to love it. We took a lot of time to make it. And I want to save you guys a lot of time and heartache and money as you're planting all these flowers in your own backyard for a fresh cut flower garden. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Please visit us over on my Cranbury Fields Instagram channel. And please, please, please hop on over to Kelly Lehman's Flower Tribe Facebook group and say hi. Post some pictures of your own flowers. If you have any tips or tricks, or just go over there to learn. And it's a great place to talk to other gardeners that are like really excited about growing flowers. So I will see you guys in the next video. Hop on over here and unplug. Bye, guys.